Hello all my beautiful sisters from those other misters, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the thing where I talk about my single eyeshadows, use it or lose it project, I don't know, whatever, I don't care, I'm so excited. I have been wanting to film this for a few days now because I have made a lot of progress, and here come, are you gonna try and get, yeah, here she comes to save the day, you just... No, you just need the attention, don't you? I must be on the TV, Mum. I must. I am YouTube famous. I am Freya, the YouTube famous shepherd. Yes. Oh, she licked my chin. Alright, now that Freya has had her, and she licked my neck. Very good. Now that Freya's had her 5 seconds of fame, let's get into talking about my single eyeshadows. So, as some of you will know, I have been working on my single eyeshadows recently, just using them and working out what I want to keep and what I want to declutter. As a little refresher, or if you're new here, my goal is to just have like two basically custom palettes, no more than two custom palettes of eyeshadows, but also with like a bronzer, blush and highlight, or like a bronzer and a highlight, or whatever. They basically just have to be like fully functional palettes. It's got to be the kind of thing that I'm going to reach for and get like a multitude of uses out of. So I have been working on this, and this month I had two palettes that I wanted to work on. One of them was this, which is now empty. I think I have an original photo of it. I'll stick it on the screen if I do. And this from Inglot, which is not empty, but it doesn't need to be because we will get to it. Another refresher, what I have opted to keep so far from doing this series is all in this palette, and I have a little palette here of things that I've been wanting to declutter, but I've just kind of kept it there. Some things I've already thrown out, some things I've passed on to friends. There was certainly more than what you see in there right now. It's just, you know, it's shrinking over time. So obviously I have been hard at work making sure that I get through these eyeshadows, and I have thoughts and progress. Let's actually start with the Inglot palette. I'm pretty sure I have an original picture of this as well. What I've decided to do here is actually keep these four shades, these ones here. These guys here I am also going to keep for now. I use these shades to set my eye primer. I just find that eyeshadows are better for doing that than face powders are. I find I get less eyeshadow mascara transferring throughout the day, so you know, I'm happy to hold on to them. I don't think they're all going to be perfect for me. I don't know if you can really see the color nuances of them. This one's more yellow, this one's more neutral, this one's more pink. I think the pink one might not work for me. I actually used the neutral one today. It's perfect, primo. I will keep it. This one might be a little bit too yellow and too light for me, but just going to hold on to them for now. I will get through them. You know, these are from Inglot, and I have finished multiple of these over the years. This has been my go-to product for doing this specific job for years, and I have no problem just having them around, so that, you know, I have them around. There's no point throwing them out because I'm just going to go and buy new ones when I run out of them. These four shades down here, or three shades down here and this one up here, I really enjoyed them. Just beautiful. Very much the types of colors that I like to wear. I love these, like, you know, burnt orangey shades. I love greyish taupe shades, and this red, gorgeous, real, like, true proper red. The formula is really beautiful as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed these shades, and they've made the cut. I want to keep them. I ultimately was kind of hoping I wouldn't love any of them because the pans are quite big and bulky. They take up a lot of space, and realistically I'm not gonna ever finish them, but the colors are right and the formula is fantastic. What I have learnt is I really do not like Inglot's like shimmer formula, which is more of a, like, it's a very bland sad satin, but their mattes, I really enjoy their mattes. The other palette that I had was this one, as mentioned earlier, and everything in here has pretty much been split up amongst these two palettes. So one of these palettes contains the shades that I'm keeping, and another one contains the shades that I'm getting rid of. I think we'll go through the shades that I'm getting rid of first, because why not? So here's what we're working with. Everything up here is Inglot. I opted to get rid of these matte shades here simply because I have other matte shades that are similar in color and I prefer their formula, which we'll see in this palette in a sec. The shimmery shades, I don't like them. I think they swatch nicely, but they don't look like much of anything on the eye, to be honest. They're pretty sad. I really like these two shades here. They look stunning swatched, and they're a very subtle duochrome shades. Like, they have these beautiful like nuances of color that almost radiate out from them, like when you move them, which is just so pretty. I don't like, you wouldn't look at them in the pan and be like, oh yeah, they're duochrome. And it's not the duochromes that we know and love today. They are very, very subtle, and you do kind of need to see them up close. Problem is, when you apply them on the eye with a brush, they just don't look like that. They look really sad. They're kind of weak, and I know I won't use them. I have better eyeshadows. This one here is from Cliona, and it is the shade Ceres, I think. It's for the face, eye, and lips. It's, look, I used it as a highlighter. It is a very beautiful, high shine, reflective gold shade, but it's just, you might be able to see there when I angle my hand that when the light's not hitting it, it actually does have like a medium color depth. So it's too dark for my coloring. It just doesn't work for me. And I just can't see this being something that I want to reach for out of these palettes, especially considering some of the other like highlighter options that I've kept to go into my final palette or palettes. And then we have shimmery shades down here. Now, these are all beautiful in their own right, but I just know that I won't reach for them. Okay, let's go through these. So the first one is Cliona Cryosphere. This is a beautiful color. It's really, really beautiful. If you can hear that rain, I'm sorry, it's so obnoxious. I really like it, but the blue is just not the right shade for me, unfortunately. It just clashes with my skin tone. The next one is from Glaminatrix. This is Peacock, and it's stunning. It's like a, I would say kind of like an emerald green brown duochrome. Beautiful, really enjoy it, but it is too dark for me and it makes my eyes look beady. I can't get away with it. The next one is Masquerade from Makeup Geek. It's a pretty shade, but I don't see myself reaching for it often enough for it to take up a space in the palette. And then I have Glaminatrix Chick, which is the yellow. Again, it's a really pretty shade. I think it's, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. The formula is nice. All of the formulas are nice. I just know that I'm not going to reach for the shade often. So those are the shades that I opted to declutter from the Inglot palette and from, well, this is an Inglot palette as well, but from the mixed palette that I had put together. Moving on to the shades that I opted to keep, we're going in here, And this is what she's looking like. Oh, it's boring and it's bland and it's brown. Yes, it is. So, I will say there are 2 shades in here that I might still declutter. They're kind of on the chopping block, and it's kind of one of those things where if I don't have enough room in the palettes when I'm putting the final palettes together, then these are the ones that are going to go. And that is these 2 shades down here. So I have this one from Makeup Geek, which is Voltage. I'll swatch them for you in a sec. And I have this one from Cleona, which is Sky Lights. Now, because I did enjoy the purple shade here, this one, and I also enjoyed this one, I was like, well, if like I'm not keeping both, I'm going to pick the one that I like the most. And I opted to hold on to Skylights just because I think it's a little bit more complex, has a little bit of sparkle in it, and I just think it's a prettier shade. So that's the 2 shades there, both super pretty, but again, I think both of these are shades that I enjoy and I would use, but I would not use them a lot. There is a really good chance that these guys would sort of be passed over for other shades. So if there's not room in the final palettes, then these guys will not make the cut, essentially. I want to talk about this here, which is Zion from Davina. I use it as a highlight, and my god, I freaking love it. It is a beautiful glowy orange, like transparent base highlight with like a little bit of a pinky shift. I love it. It's beautiful. I enjoyed wearing it for days and days on end while I was testing out these eyeshadows, and I just found that I was like, this has to be in the final palette. It is absolutely beautiful. I don't want to be without it. So that one definitely made the cut. Then I think we'll go through, let's go through the shimmery shades first. I have no idea what these are. This is why I don't really love single eyeshadows. Having to, like, you know, pull them out of the pan to tell you what they are, it's kind of a pain in the butt. We'll just go through and swatch them. Okay, let's see if we can get these out of the palette without destroying them. This one's from Glaminatrix. It's Candy Egg. So that was the one on the top here. This is a really beautiful, like, pale peachy gold. It's got a little bit of a peachy hint to it, to a like soft baby pink. It's stunning, beautiful, love it. Would easily wear that very regularly. The next one is Crystalline from Cleona Cosmetics, also really beautiful. It's like a periwinkle-ish that leans a bit more purple, which makes it very wearable for me. Then I have Wormwood, again from Cleona. It's in the family of those blue-brown pigments from way back in the day, but it has more hints of like a soft violety purple. It's just beautiful on the eye, and that sort of brown base makes it really easy for me to wear. It's kind of like a rosewoody kind of brown shade, and I love it. And then we have this one, which looks green, but I mean, you guys can see what's happening here. Also from Cleona, it's called Toadstool. This has a really beautiful, subtle forest green with an ever so slight hint of blue in it, but the base is that really beautiful reddy brown shade, and I just love it. Absolutely stunning. And I think, like, you know, you guys would have heard me say before, blues and greens, like, I struggle to wear them. I have to be really smart about how I wear them. Shades that have these like multi-chrome or duochrome shifts that like the subtle part of the shift is the hint of blue or green. Those I can wear so easily, and they don't like fuck up with my coloring. So those guys, absolute winners. Then I kept these 2 shades from the Inglot palette, both mattes. These weren't in the little Inglot palette that I showed you earlier. These were shades that I'd sort of been playing with for over the space of like 2 months, I think, and they don't swatch like much, but they apply really nicely, and they're just very easy shades for me to wear and pair with other eyeshadows. This one here is from Makeup Geek. It's Cherry Cola, and like if I show you guys the sort of similar shades, like this one here and this one here, this one's a bit more purple, but it doesn't matter. This one's very similar. Cherry Cola was just the winner because I preferred the formula. I found it applied a bit better and blended better, wasn't as patchy, and it's a smaller pan, so I opted to keep that one. These two shades here are actually from Ofra, and I hadn't tried, like, these hadn't been touched before, and I hadn't tried Ofra eyeshadows, but holy shit, I like them. I do. I know there's been some drama with Ofra. I'm not really sure about like the ins and outs of the drama, so I'm not going to go into it and pretend that I know things. But I know there's been drama, and it's not really drama that is very great. But that does not mean that these eyeshadows weren't an absolute dream to use. They're both mattes. They're both type of color that I really enjoy wearing. They have a micro sparkle in them. It's very subtle. You don't see it when you apply it to the eye and like blend them out, but it makes the way that they blend just chef's kiss. I really enjoy them. I am going to keep those ones. In terms of like light shades that I can use as like a transition or in my crease when I'm going for something a bit more subtle, I don't have a whole bunch of those types of shades, so those guys have been fantastic. And of course this guy up here, which I cannot remember where it come from, I don't know. I've been using it throughout this single eyeshadow journey, and I've hit pan, major pan. I'm going to continue using it. There's no issue with that, but I think what I will do when I get into the next palette I'm working on, I'll show you guys. There is one in there that I will get some use out of, so, but I'm still keeping it. It's helpful. So to finish up, we do need to talk about this, which is the third and final working palette that I created. I did put this together in the last video, but I opted to focus on like one palette at a time, and I managed to get through 2 in the last month. This is actually the palette that I'm most excited to play with because there is a whole bunch going on here that is just me. It's so me. This is such a me palette. Earthy tones, warm sunsetty tones, mauves, all that jazz. I'm really excited to dig into it. I do have a highlighter. I've got a bunch of matte shades. These guys are all from Inglot. This one I will use to set my base. It already has a big dip in it. I have been like, it's had use in the past. And then I have a whole bunch of like shimmery shades, a couple more. I'd say these guys are Makeup Geek mattes. So yes, I am very much looking forward to digging into this. And I think I am going to be away for a while, and I'm not going to take this palette to travel with me because it just, I feel like it's an accident waiting to happen. So it might take me a little bit over a month to like sort of get through it and test them out. But once I've gone through that, like in the next update, I will put together my final palettes. Maybe 1, maybe 2, probably 2. And I'll show you what I'm left with. And then I need to decide what I'm going to work on next with my eyeshadows. Prior to working on my singles, I was kind of just doing like whatever I want. Like, I want to play with this palette, I want to play with that palette. But I'm feeling like maybe I should have a bit more structure to this project. And I don't know, maybe just go through my eyeshadow palettes alphabetically and use them. I don't know. I don't really know how to tackle it. I don't want to focus on one palette a month because I'll fucking never make a dip in my palette collection. Like, I've got 2 of these long shallow drawers full of eyeshadow palettes, and I've got one of those, one of these deep ones. I think it's just one. Shit, is it 2? Even the dog grunted at that. No, it's just one, I'm sure. So I've got heaps of palettes. Like, if I did one palette a month to test it out and decide whether I'm going to keep it or declutter it, it would take me actual years. So it's not a smart way to do it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I pull like 4 palettes a month and do like 1 a week. I don't know, but I feel like I need to methodically go through my eyeshadow palette collection to work out what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. Because I feel like doing it willy-nilly it worked to a degree. I was getting rid of stuff, but also it was a bit like there was no rhyme or reason to it. I was just kind of using whatever I felt like using. And I think I've been inspired by going through my single eyeshadows and making so much progress with them. So I feel like I need to do that with my other eyeshadow palettes. If you guys do have suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. Sometimes, you know, you guys will suggest something and it will either be a great idea or it'll like spark another. Like, you know, I'll be able to think about how I could use that idea to work with the way that I like to pan things or like, you know, work through things. So let me know your thoughts. I have spent pretty much this whole year working on the rest of my collection where, you know, I've tested all my products and then I do a video letting you know what I thought about them and what I'm keeping and what I'm decluttering and what I want to pan. And I do want to do that with my eyeshadows, but also, you know, when you look at an eyeshadow palette and it's like, you know, there's so many eyeshadows in it and I don't do my makeup every day and I don't always want to use like the same palette for an extended period. Like it's, you know, it's complex. I think if you're a makeup lover and you've got a lot of makeup, you probably get where I'm coming from. But yeah, I do want to work on my eyeshadow palettes. I actually started this series as a way to work on them, thinking that I didn't want to have to test out every single one of my eyeshadow palettes. But now I'm feeling a bit more inspired, but I think I'm still going to keep it like its own series because I think it needs to be. I think that's just, I don't know. Now I'm just like sharing my brain thoughts out loud with you. So I'm going to go. I'm rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below. Super excited to dig into this palette. I think it's so pretty. Yes, I love the colors. So that's it. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.